Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We bring you this video, of course, to help you catch up on things that you might have missed out on whilst you were catching up on some all-important sleep. One thing which a lot of Indians may not have slept through, and what we're going to start this morning wrap with: Virat Kohli unfortunately continues his poor run of form since his comeback. In his second ODI, which he's played, of course, since the time he came back after that whole layoff from March onwards from international cricket, he records yet another duck in the second ODI that is currently taking place as of this recording in Adelaide against Australia. Now, the duck actually ends up making a bit of unwanted history for Virat Kohli. Why? It's the first time ever he's recorded back-to-back ducks in ODI innings, which in itself tells you a lot about where it is that Kohli's career is right now. There's a lot of talk about crossroads, and perhaps nothing quite actually screams crossroads than doing something unwanted that you've never done before in your career. Now, another thing about Kohli that sparked a lot of talk is the way he gestured to fans after he was walking off. He was obviously getting some applause from a crowd which did have a sizable Indian contingent, but many Adelaide fans as well, who would be locals, who would have memories of the kind of knocks that Kohli has had in this particular ground. And he acknowledged it by actually raising his gloves to the crowd. Could it be a goodbye? Could it be some sort of an indication that this may be the last time he's playing in Adelaide? Fan theories on social media are abound as per always, and it wouldn't be outlandish to think that this is the last time he's playing in Australia. After all, he probably doesn't have that much cricket left in him. He's only a one-format player, and there's no certainties what he'd be doing after 2027 or even, quite frankly, before that. And Kohli's form is in stark contrast to the kind of form that Rohit Sharma showed in this particular match. The former India captain also found the going very tough early on a pitch that was definitely offering up something for the bowlers, but then once it settled down, he managed to play his shots, got a good 73, bit unfortunate to miss out on 100, but he looked to be upping the ante at about that point in time, and truth be told, he'd already done a decent job helping rebuild the innings after both Shubman Gill and Virat Kohli ended up getting out early. So Rohit has finally got some runs under his belt. Unfortunately, the wait for Virat goes on in this particular series. Now, switching our focus but staying on the sport of cricket, there's been a lot of talks about, let's say, Kohli, Rohit and what their future holds. And one person who's spoken up and said, had his say really on this is Ashwin. In a video that was uploaded on his YouTube channel, he said that Rohit and Kohli should be given support, space and communication by the team management and the board, and that they shouldn't be pressured, and that you probably need them around not only for their experience but also to help sell tickets and keep the ODI format relevant. It's a very interesting take, and we'll discuss it more in detail on another video, but that is what Ashwin had to say about this. Switching our focus, of course, there is a big women's match which will be taking place later today in the ICC Women's World Cup. India take on New Zealand in what is a must-win game for the women in blue. And whilst I know a lot of people are going to say, oh yes, it's not must-win, they can qualify even if they beat Bangladesh and New Zealand lose to England. Yes, all of that is there, but if India need to keep their fate in their own hands, then beating New Zealand is a must, but it will also require them to do something that they haven't done since the year 2017, beat a Sena nation in an ODI World Cup. Yes, the last time it happened was, of course, that match against Australia where Harmanpreet Kaur hit 171. You remember that match, the semi-final, when then India went on to play the final. But since then, it's been blanks against Sena nations, and that trend has continued on in this tournament. You need a big win, or at least a win, to keep control of the semis in your own hands. Switching our focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and there were some big Champions League results last night, two of them involving Premier League clubs. Liverpool beat Eintracht Frankfurt 5-1, a big result for them considering they were coming off a streak that saw them lose 5 games on the trot across competition. And the good news is that one of their new strikers was firing. The bad news for the hierarchy is that it was Hugo Ekitike who did end up getting a goal against his former side, but the 5-win victory much needed for Arne Slot considering the amount of pressure he and the team were finding themselves under. Another Premier League club who recorded exactly the same results against different opposition, Chelsea, beat Ajax Amsterdam 5-1 in what was in many ways a history-breaking night for them. Why? Because Mark Hugh, who scored their first goal, became the Blues' youngest ever Champions League goal scorer in history. A record that he held on to for 30 minutes because Estevao Willian ended up scoring, and Estevao was about a year younger than Mark Hugh. To then make things even better, come the second half, Tyreek George comes off the bench, a 19-year-old, and also ends up finding himself on the score sheet. What that does is that Chelsea end up becoming the first team to have 3 teenagers score for them in the same Champions League match. History indeed, and a very good win against a 10-man Ajax who, truth be told, came and absolutely imploded on the night. Talking about teams that didn't implode, Real Madrid versus Juventus was the one match that everyone had all eyes on. It was the match that the neutrals wanted to be watching, and Real Madrid ended up emerging on the winning side, but it was a very tough win indeed. It required a strike from Jude Bellingham, and 1-0 was all she wrote for them. Of course, the win ensures that they stay there in the automatic qualification slots, but it was a win they definitely had to work hard for. Switching our focus now to sports beyond cricket football, some tennis news for you. Novak Djokovic has withdrawn from the Paris Masters after he ended up suffering an injury in an exhibition event, the Six Kings tournament taking place in Saudi Arabia. Remember, he suffered a leg injury. Then in the semi-final match against Yannick Sinner, he ended up looking like anything but his best in that particular game. So he's out of the Paris Masters. Bit unfortunate really, because again, the Six Kings was an exhibition. Paris Masters is a tournament that has ranking points, but hey, it is what it is. Unfortunate, but that is the nature of the beast when it comes to the end of year in the tennis slam. And one more bit of news before we call it quits. Indian badminton has found itself in a bit of a crossroads, and that's continued on after Chirag Shetty and Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy ended up getting knocked out of the French Open Super 750 tournament. They lost in their round of 32 men's match to Indonesia's Rehmat Hidayat and Muhammad Rian Ardianto. Now, unfortunately for Satchi, as they are well known, it's been a bit of a hit or miss year. There have been some good results, but recent times has seen their form dip and dip badly. So one hopes they can find their form sooner rather than later. And that's it from us on this edition of The Morning Wrap. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, if you enjoy our work, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.